tonight on First at 9 this Thursday, the 2nd of October 2025. Illegal acquisitions. Former President Mahinda Rajapaksha's chief security officer remanded over alleged illegal assets. Returning the favour. Director General of the Bribery Commission vows legal action against politicians Nandana Gunatilaka and Udega Mampila over misleading statements. Standardization. SLS certification mandatory for plastic bottles and children's products from April 2026, announces the Minister of Trade. Real goals. No need to promote homosexuality to boost tourism in Sri Lanka, says the minister, highlighting the country's rising tourist arrivals and income.
Kalin baby soap rupial 90කට. Kalin baby podi හැමෝටමයි.
This is Derana First at 9, live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening, you're joining First at 9, brought to you by Sri Lanka's most trusted news source, Derana. I'm Tharidu Mahendra, joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. In your top story this evening, the Chief Personal Security Officer of former President Mahinda Rajapaksha, retired Lieutenant Colonel Neville Wanniyarachi, was remanded by the Colombo Chief Magistrates Court until October 17th. He was arrested by the Bribery Commission for failing to cooperate with a long-running investigation into alleged illicit wealth accumulation.
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksha's Chief Personal Security Officer, retired Lieutenant Colonel Neville Wanniyarachi, was arrested today after arriving at the Bribery Commission to provide a statement. He was taken into custody for failing to cooperate with investigations into alleged illegal asset acquisitions from 2013 to 2014. The probe, which began in 2014, examines assets Wanniyarachi acquired between 2013 and 2014 that exceeded his reported income by 28 million rupees. Despite 8 years of investigations, authorities stated that he repeatedly refused to provide information or provided incomplete information. Presenting the suspect before the Colombo Chief Magistrate, investigation officers presented new details regarding several properties owned by Wanniyarachi, including multiple houses, a hotel, land, a fuel station under construction and shops. Wanniyarachi had claimed during questioning today that his income was from renting buses and tipper trucks, but the Bribery Commission stated that there was insufficient time to verify these claims. The Commission requested his remand to prevent interference with ongoing investigations under the Bribery and Anti-Corruption Acts. Counsel for Wanniyarachi, President's Counsel Sampath Mendis, argued that his client had cooperated in other asset-related cases which he previously faced and should therefore be granted bail, citing delays in obtaining bank records and other evidence due to the age of the allegations. However, Colombo Chief Magistrate Asanka S. Bodharagama decided to place the suspect under remand custody until October 17th.
ඔයාගේ හීන ලන්තයට අපිත් එක්ක යන්න අදම සනස ලයිෆ් එක ඉන්ෂුවර් වෙන්න.
Director General of the Bribery Commission, Ranga Dissanayake, vows legal action against Nandana Gunatilaka and Udega Mampila over their statements suggesting his unsuitability for the position. Addressing the media, the Director General stated that while the Commission is investigating complaints regarding politicians' asset declarations, it is hamstrung by the shortage of staff.
You might have heard various individuals making statements targeting me, the Director General, such as the statement made by Nandana Gunatilaka. In 2004, I joined as a magistrate, and in 2020, I was appointed a High Court judge. In 2025, I accepted this position on a second-month basis. If I were actively involved in politics, I would not be qualified to be a judge. Therefore, Nandana Gunatilaka did not reveal this to anyone for 20 years, nor did he inform the Judicial Service Commission. I have never taken part in the committee he mentioned, and I categorically reject that statement. If an individual makes such accusations, it is they who should prove them. However, there is now a peculiar culture where people tell lies and expect others to prove them false. Later, I heard Attorney Udega Mampila claim that I committed an offence under the Article 19 of the Anti-Corruption Act. This article mentions circumstances in which an individual is disqualified from holding the position of Director General, including holding a position in a political party during an election period. If I had held such a position, I would have have had to disclose it to the Constitutional Council before assuming this position. I request both Uday Gamampila and Nandana Gunatilaka to file their complaints with the Constitutional Council instead of making statements in the media. Their intentions are clear. They aim to undermine public trust. However, the Commission has decided that such statements will be considered an insult to the Commission under the Article 118 of the Anti-Corruption Act, and we will take necessary action.
ඔබතුමාට දැනටමත් ප්‍රතිචාර දක්වලා තියෙන නන්දන ගුණතිලක සමාජ මාධ්‍යවලින් එයා කියන්න ඕනේ නැහැ එයාගේ පත්වීම ගැන උසාව වෙනවා
ඒක තමයි මම කිව්වේ විවස්සාදායක සභාව වැරදි.
If the Constitutional Council made a wrong decision, he could take legal action. However, the time in which to do that has passed. Legal action regarding violations of fundamental rights must be taken within a month. They did go to court, but the case was withdrawn. I am not responsible for the Constitutional Council's decision. They can sue the Constitutional Council. What I did was submit an application and attend an interview, and they selected me. Regarding the submission of assets and liabilities, we obtained all reports by gazetting the new form. Therefore, legal action can be taken this time. We received nearly 300,000 asset and liability declarations. You might not believe it, but we only have 5 officials handling these declarations. We receive complaints every day regarding the origin of the declared assets. According to the Article 84 of the Act, if we have doubts about how assets were obtained, we must investigate that matter. We will investigate them when complaints are received. However, we cannot conduct investigations swiftly due to a lack of resources. You must also investigate individuals who did not submit their assets.
වත්කම් බැරකම් පිළිබඳව සටහන් කරා. හැබැයි දැන් සමහර ඇමතිවරු ඉදිරිපත් කරපු ඒවාම පහුගිය කාලේ ප්‍රසිද්ධියට පත් වුණා. සමහරව ආදායම් බදු ගෙවලා තිබ්බේ නැහැ. ආදී වංචනික කටයුතු සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඇමතිවරු සම්බන්ධයෙන් කටයුතු කරනවා.
අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම.
Yes, we have received complaints regarding that matter. However, the problem is the lack of resources to investigate each case individually. It does not mean we are not investigating.
වල ප්‍රශ්නේ ඒවා නොකරනව නෙවෙයි.
ඔබතුමාගේ යම්කිසි ප්‍රමුඛතාවයිස්තුවක් තියෙනවද ප්‍රමුඛතාවයිස්තුවක් ගැන කතා වෙනවා සමාජ මාධ්‍ය
මම එන්නත් කලින් කොමිෂන් සභාව විසින්
Before my appointment, the Commission had already chosen a list. This list had criteria covering areas of grand corruption and politically exposed persons. Most of these cases are being investigated under my direction. This is our priority list, and we will prioritize these cases. However, it does not mean we are targeting anyone. We aim to resolve these cases quickly. It does not matter which political party they belong to. However, there must be evidence.
හැබැයි සාක්ෂි තියෙන්නට ඕන.
Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya says the Clean Sri Lanka initiative is a collective movement to unite citizens in transforming the country and working towards a more beautiful and prosperous nation. The Premier made these remarks today during the inaugural ceremony of Soba Sip Vadula national program implemented under the Clean Sri Lanka initiative. The inaugural ceremony of Soba Sip Vadula implemented under the Clean Sri Lanka initiative was held today at Colombo Hindu College in Ratmalana under the patronage of Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya. As part of the initiative, Green Zone learning environments will be established in 50 schools across the country.
When we formed this government, we promised to transform the country together. Clean Sri Lanka is an initiative under which all citizens can unite and work together to transform our nation. The Clean Sri Lanka initiative carries 3 goals. Through these, we aim to cultivate the qualities needed to build the kind of society we aspire to live in. All of these objectives are included in this program as well. I trust that you will intervene to make the world more beautiful and that you are capable of leading this movement. To that end, I extend my best wishes to you. Prepare to build a prosperous nation together.
පොහොසත් රටක් හදන්න ඔබ සියලු දෙනා සූදානම් වෙන්න.
හොඳම ෆෝන් එකක් ගන්න. ළඟම අපාන්ස් එකට යන්න.
The World Education Fair 2025 entrance free. Register now.
Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa highlights that the removal of the SVAT facility with effect from yesterday will severely impact exporters, especially since the government has failed to provide an alternative. Commenting after a meeting with the International Monetary Fund today, Premadasa emphasized the need for a more active program to support citizens facing hardships within the context of the IMF program.
Representatives of the International Monetary Fund met opposition leader Sajith Premadasa and Samagi Jana Balawegaya parliamentarians today at the opposition leader's office.
We specifically highlighted that the removal of the SVAT facility from October 1st will cause significant harm to our country's exporters. We pointed out to the IMF that if they are able to halt the revocation of the SVAT facility, it would be highly beneficial for the export sector. We also pointed out that no alternative program has been established for exporters once the SVAT facility is removed. To this day, a sustainable solution has not been provided to address poverty, which remains a significant ongoing issue in the country. We also pointed out that micro, small and medium-scale industrialists are being severely disadvantaged by the resumption of parate executions. Finally, we emphasized the need for an active program that provides support for the people facing difficulties within the context of the IMF program.
මේටත් වැඩි දියුණුව සක්‍රිය වැඩපිළිවෙලක අවශ්‍යතාවය අපි අද IMF එකට පෙන්නනවා.
Leader of Sarva Jana Balaya parliamentarian Dilith Jayavira claims that an entrepreneurial mindset must be fostered within every citizen for Sri Lanka to succeed. He made this comment while speaking at a gathering in Gampola. Entrepreneurship was not part of our education. We all know the periodic table of elements and multiplication tables by heart. After all that memorization, the calculator arrived, making our efforts redundant. We learned the periodic table and memorized the formulae of compounds such as potassium permanganate. Now all of that is instantly available through ChatGPT. The same applies to theorems. Solutions are readily available, making theorems less useful. However, nobody taught us entrepreneurship, the most important skill that should have been taught. You may wonder if everyone in the country needs to be an entrepreneur because I talk about entrepreneurship. Yes, everyone should be entrepreneurs. Being an entrepreneur is not just about starting businesses. It is about thinking creatively, managing risks and capitalizing on opportunities. That is what an entrepreneurial state is. Only when this mindset is nurtured in every citizen can we succeed. The political sphere today was rife with strong opinions on the recent remarks made by the son of Aruna Vidana Gamage alias Kajja. Kajja's son yesterday contradicted his mother's assertion that Kajja was involved in the death of Wasim Tajuddin.
The police is attempting to fabricate evidence under directives of the government. The police should not be biased in their investigations simply to secure promotions. We urge the police to protect its reputation. They dug their own grave by attempting to fabricate evidence regarding Tajuddin's death. The police held a press briefing to reveal matters they should have submitted in court. We request an impartial investigation. Namal does not need to panic over Tajuddin's death. There have been rumours of Tajuddin's death being connected to the Rajpaksha family. The case is being investigated systematically. We urge Namal to remain calm. Certain politicians shiver when they hear news of Tajuddin's murder. Investigations will reveal whether there is a connection between the murder in question and those politicians who shiver. This is a more media spectacle than an investigation. Kajja's son, wife and the police spokesman have made contradictory statements. The government seems to be dragging Tajuddin's murder to the limelight in an attempt to cover up their setbacks. Information uncovered during Sampath Manamperi's interrogations has led to new leads in the investigation. We would not have had the need to drag this matter back up if Tajuddin's murderers were identified earlier. During the course of interrogations, if a suspect reveals leads pertaining to a separate investigation, then those leads must be probed accordingly.
Minister of Trade Wasantha Samarasinghe announces that it will be mandatory for all plastic food storage containers intended for use by children to obtain the relevant Sri Lanka standard certification. The minister asserted that plastic products which do not meet SLS specifications will be banned from the market starting April 1st next year.
According to health authorities, plastic containers that are certified safe for food contact can be identified through the BPA-free label, the cup and fork symbol, the resin identification code number 5, typically found on the bottom or sides. Authorities further note that any container without the relevant certification is unsuitable for use, adding that research suggests some of the products in the market at present contain carcinogens. Due to rising health concerns surrounding plastic items such as feeding bottles and children's lunch boxes, the Ministry of Trade, Commerce, Food Security and Cooperative Development has taken steps to ban the manufacture and sale of substandard plastic products intended for storing food and liquids. Accordingly, it will be mandatory for manufacturers to obtain the Sri Lanka Standard certification before manufacturing or releasing storage containers for food and liquids to the market. The regulation will come into effect from April 1st next year.
We appointed an expert committee to make the final decision on the matter. To protect our children, we need to strengthen existing laws on plastic lunchboxes and feeding bottles. Sri Lanka Standard specification for reusable plastic bottles for carrying drinkable liquids is SLS 1616. Sri Lanka Standard specification for feeding bottles made for polymer materials is SLS 1306. All manufacturers should follow these standard specifications by April 1st next year. Manufacturers who do not adhere to the declared standards will be banned from the market and face severe penalties.
A special discussion was held recently at the Presidential Secretariat to facilitate the establishment of a Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology Innovation Hub in Sri Lanka. The proposed innovation hub aims to strengthen existing joint PhD programs and align research and development solutions with national priorities. The discussion was organized by the National Initiative for Research and Development Commercialization. With that, here's a look at more news across the island in brief.
Drivers and passengers, including those in rear seats, are now required to wear seat belts when travelling on expressways. The relevant gazette notification was issued by Minister of Transport, Highways, Ports and Civil Aviation Bimal Ratnayaka yesterday evening. Meanwhile, DIG Ashoka Dharmasena, the Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of the Western Province North Division, has been appointed the DIG of the Police Narcotics Bureau. This follows the transfer of DIG Oshan Heva Vitarana from the Narcotics Bureau to the Kegol Division. 13 other DIGs and 10 senior superintendents of police have also been given new appointments. In the meantime, 2 individuals were arrested in the seas of Arishal, Kalpitia yesterday while attempting to smuggle 4 kilograms and 454 grams of gold into the country. Acting on credible information received by the Northwestern Naval Command, a search operation was conducted by the SLNS Vijaya in seas of Arichal, during which the dinghy carrying the 2 individuals was intercepted. The duo and the confiscated items have subsequently been handed over to the Customs Prevention Officer in Katunayaka for further legal proceedings.
Welcome back. Minister of Foreign Affairs and Tourism Vijitha Herath affirms that the government has no intention of promoting homosexuality to develop the tourism sector. Speaking at an event today, the minister stated that as the tourism sector continues to grow, the government's primary goal is to facilitate its development while preserving the country's culture, values and civility.
An International Tourism Leaders Summit held alongside the International Tourism Day celebration was organized by the Alumni Association of Tourism, Economics and Hospitality Management at the University of Colombo. The event took place today at the BMICH under the patronage of President Anuradha Dissanayake and Foreign Minister Vijitha Herath.
The perspective here is the requirement of new product development in tourism. Actually, if you've been thinking about the future of tourism in Sri Lanka, we need to think about 3 aspects. One aspect is the connectivity and the accessibility, where we need to have the air connectivity properly sorted out. And the other aspect is the investment, as well as diversifying the investment within the country. And the third aspect is the new product development. So new product development is creating engagement with the people, plus increasing what particular income generation of tourism. So income generation happens when the people are engaging and having more activities in tourism. On the other hand, domestic tourism development and the domestic airport, domestic aviation development. We have a kind of airport in Batiklo, which is actually certified by Civil Aviation as an international airport. And also there are so many other kind of aerodromes which has been certified in the country within that particular region. So luxury travel may it be, and even the particular glamping or the particular campsites or anything like that can be expanded within this particular range of room ring, because the product development's key idea is to be having different products to be people to be engaged and also getting more employment as well as more communities to engage.
We have set ambitious economic goals, and the tourism sector is a major contributor to achieving them. This year we have already surpassed $2.2 billion in revenue from tourism. September of this year recorded the highest number of tourist arrivals in any September in Sri Lanka's history, totaling 158,971 visitors. Total tourist arrivals so far this year have exceeded 1.7 million. We are progressing towards our goals systematically. While striving to increase tourist numbers, we are also focusing on improving the quality of tourists visiting Sri Lanka. The tourism sector is developing rapidly, and with this growth, our income is increasing as well. At the same time, we are working to develop the sector while preserving the culture and civility of our country. I want to affirm that the government has no policy to promote homosexuality in tourism. We do not have such a policy because with increase in tourist numbers, higher quality arrivals and growing income, there is no need for it. Additionally, we do not show any bias towards tourists visiting Sri Lanka. We treat all tourists equally. In Sri Lanka, Sinhala, Tamil, Muslim and Christian communities live together, and it is our responsibility to ensure that all tourists are treated with the same respect and equality.
Fitch Ratings has affirmed Sri Lanka's long-term foreign currency issuer default rating at CCC+ with a positive outlook. Fitch said the rating remained constrained by elevated general government indebtedness and a high interest coverage ratio despite completion of the sovereign's debt restructuring in 2024. However, the rating agency noted that sustained adherence to a path of reform is facilitating a solid economic recovery, low inflation, a substantial fiscal adjustment and improvements in the external finance position. Accordingly, the investment climate, particularly foreign direct investment, is likely to remain a priority to bolster medium-term growth, albeit with incremental progress. The Colombo Bourse closed in positive territory today as a result of price gains in counters such as Melster Corp, Axis Engineering and Union Bank. The benchmark ASBI gained 0.46% to close at 21,951.79, while the more liquid S&P Sri Lanka 20 gained 0.15% to end the day at 6,148.21. Market turnover was 6.5 billion rupees. Foreign participation in market activity remained at subdued levels, with foreigners closing as net buyers, purchasing shares worth 191 million rupees. And with that, here's a look at today's foreign exchange rates. In international economic developments, the Reserve Bank of India yesterday announced fresh measures to promote wider use of the Indian rupee in cross-border transactions as part of its strategy to gradually internationalize the currency. For months now, the Indian government has been taking steps to internationalize the rupee to make the Indian currency widely accepted for use for global trade, finance and investment. As part of the latest announcements, Governor of the Reserve Bank of India, Sanjay Malhotra, proposed 3 measures to globalize the rupee. Authorized dealer banks will now be permitted to extend loans in Indian rupees to non-residents from Bhutan, Nepal and Sri Lanka for trade-related transactions in a bid to deepen trade settlement in Indian rupees with neighbouring economies. In a second move, transparent reference rates for currencies of India's major trading partners will be established, aiming to make pricing more predictable while strengthening the use of the rupee in invoicing and settlement of international trade. The Indonesian rupiah and the United Arab Emirates dirham are among the currencies the central bank is looking to establish reference rates for. Furthermore, the bank seeks to widen the use of balances in special rupee Vostro accounts. These balances, which currently facilitate trade settlement in local currency, will now be made eligible for investment in corporate bonds and commercial papers. That's all for tonight from First at 9. Thank you for joining. Have a great night.